Hey,
Hey everybody,
how are you?
we are in Yellowstone. We're above a creek
Blacktail
that is
Creek.
running into the Yellowstone River.
And what a day we've had. We've hung out, well, kind of at a distance with little wolf pups from Slough Creek Pack frolicking in the buttercups and the shooting stars.
Yes, and we've seen lots of bison with the bison babies hopping along behind them. This is a wonderful time to be in the Lamar Valley of Yellowstone. And we just brought ourselves over here because we heard rumor of wolves and we're able to see them.
This is the largest, essentially intact ecosystem in the temperate world. And each time we come here, we're just awfully grateful that there's so much full ecology running around in these mountains and in these river valleys.
Yeah, and this is June, our June update, so welcome to June. We're doing something different for our deep dive. We're moving it to the 15th of June, so the third Tuesday. You'll see a notice about that if you're on our mailing list. If not, go to our website, sign up, or write us at connect@fullecology.com. But besides that, we want you to know, and we'll be saying more about this a little later in the update, that we're going to be focusing this month on
Charismatic megafauna, to be totally geeked out in the biologist terminology, which is just large, interesting mammals.
Yes.
So that would be wolves, right? And
wolves and bison,
bears, and so
grizzly, right? And moose,
moose.
and elk.
It's going to be a great conversation where we look at some of our fellow travelers and talk about what we might learn from getting quiet enough to really observe them and
Yes.
make a connection with them.
Yeah, and we're gonna, this will be our last deep dive for some months. Now that we've all come back from COVID, or at least are continuing to begin to come back from COVID, fewer people are interested in doing things via Zoom, virtually. And so let's all go out
Let's
and
get
find
out.
what we can in the natural world and with one another in safe spaces. And we do, while we're up here, we want to thank all of you who have purchased and begun to read or read all the way through the Full Ecology book.
We're very excited and heartened and grateful for the good comments we've been getting. And it may seem like a weird ask because we love to support independent bookstores, but to the extent you like it and can put a line or two up with a star rating on Amazon or Goodreads,
Or both.
those things, for better or worse, really help get the word out. And that's what we're on about right now, is to share this message and increase the conversation.
So if you haven't yet, go buy Indy. And then once you've read it, leave your thoughts on Goodreads and on Amazon, and that will help the word get out further.
And tell a friend or two while you're at it.
Yeah, that'd be lovely. Okay.
All right.
A little bit more later. Talk with you soon.
Charismatic megafauna.
Yeah, don't
You
forget
won't
it.
believe it.
Yeah, 15th of June. Be there. Hey, everybody.
Good morning.
Now we're back home, and it's actually June. So welcome to the June update once again.
Beautiful, beautiful morning. We've had a string of great weather, which makes us very happy. And some of it, of course, we've been spending out on the trail.
Yeah, and we've been really thinking this month about, as we were saying earlier, animals, and in particular large animals, and what we humans have to learn from that aspect of nature. Everybody loves animals.
Yeah, although some of them have had a very problematic past, and to be honest, they still do in a lot of areas, and no animal more than the wolf.
Right.
I think the wolf is a great opportunity to consider separation thinking. It's just so clear where separation thinking can go and the kind of damage it can cause when you start looking at the attitudes that happened in the Middle Ages and beyond about the wolves. We used to divide animals into sweet and stenchy beasts, and so there were good animals and bad animals, and bad animals weren't just bad because they took the occasional sheep or cow. They were considered evil. And the wolf has carried some of that all the way through into the 21st century.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing to think about, what are the social, ecological explanations for why humans would get into that kind of storytelling system or into that kind of position relative to wolves. We know that many, primarily indigenous, and by that I think we mean folks who have been on the land for the longest, indigenous communities haven't demonized animals. And so what is it that happened? We have options given these ways of making sense of ourselves. We're always looking for ways to understand what it means to be in these self-reflective lives. And so we create culture. And the culture can contain stories about animals that instruct us one way or the other. So you've got stories about animals where they are allies, and then you've got stories about animals where you project all the things that from your separate thinking, you as a community are going to say, oh, well, we're not that. And so we're going to put that in the animals because clearly they're separate from us. Is that what you're saying?
I think so, and lest you doubt the power of culture and society to actually drive what science looks for and sets out to prove. The wolf is a great example. It was the Park Service in the 1920s who shot and killed the last of the wolves in Yellowstone National Park. Again, they thought they were bad predators who were threatening the prey animals like deer and elk. And it was actually Aldo Leopold in the 40s who finally started to take what would have been an indigenous position all along, is that you can't love the prey without loving the predator, because the two are completely dependent on one another. And so we've seen to the land what happens to the land when the wolves were removed, and it was not as healthy as it is with them back since 1995.
Yeah, that's a curious thing in a time when all of us, regardless of where we stand on political and social issues, are very clear that there is a predator among humans. It's a different predator. So does that apply too? We've got to think about that more.
Yeah, right. It's true. But wolves are, Mary mentioned the indigenous relationship to wolves, and the instructive power they've had. Those folks were able to live with and observe wolves and take lessons from. I mean, there's some significant evidence that philosophy of the village raising the child came from living with and observing social mammals like wolves. They're extremely well bonded. They're very good at power sharing between males and females. They've got kind of a democracy, if you will, as far as leadership, where you can go off on your own and come back. It's quite advanced. And I'm not saying all this because we want to watch animals because we want to be like wolves, but I think there's an essential quality of cooperation that wolves have used to succeed as a species that we have absolutely used too.
Well, and that we have.
Yes, we have.
Yeah,
right.
so, it would be, that's another one of the mistakes that we humans make let's just say in Western culture, and that is that there has to be strict uniformity, or else we don't feel safe. Everybody's got to believe the way I believe, or I don't feel safe. Well, in this discussion of large mammals, we aren't ever going to be elephants or whales or wolves. We're not. And we do share some wisdoms in common. In fact, I would say, this is not based on any data, but that we humans stand more to learn from the wolves and the elephants and the whales than they do from us. It's time for us to quiet down and listen and get humble and get better at being in these human lives by paying attention to the instructions that are around us all over in the natural world.
Yeah, this is that huge danger, right, that you and I talk about a lot with separation thinking, with subject-object going from a useful tool, especially in scientific inquiry, academic inquiry, and be the truth. When you objectify anything or any group of people, it's very easy, I think, to start projecting your own, as Mary mentioned earlier, fears and darkness on that sort of undefined, objectified, in this case, animal like a wolf. And at the point you make them subject again, at the point they become part of the relational network, and get the respect they deserve as sort of a sovereign nation, then I think we're much less likely to impose these kind of dark sides of our own shadows onto them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it is so that these animals have something to teach us. And one of the specific things that they have is themselves being right-sized. Now that's sort of complicated to talk about relative to an animal as magnificent as a wolf or a lion. What does that mean, right-sized for a lion? Well, when you look closely at these large animals, you see that they are in constant collaboration, improvisation, interaction with the natural world around them. They aren't trying to dominate or control that land. They are working with it in order to be able to survive as a species themselves.
Yeah, a wolf isn't necessarily aware of this, but it's worth considering. They're dependent, in Yellowstone's case, the wolves are dependent primarily on elk as their primary prey. Those elk cannot exist without a very healthy vegetative base, a grass base.
Yeah.
That grass base doesn't exist without a healthy biome in the soil that allows it to grow. So there's this connection, and if you break the link of the chain anywhere, it all comes down. So no matter how big and strong and fierce you may be as a wolf, you're going down if there's no more grass. And we have had this sort of, I guess, unfortunate luxury of imagining that we are above those basics. That we don't.
The grass is ours. for
Yeah,
the
the grass
taking.
is ours, and the air and the water.
Yeah.
And we will go down just as surely as a wolf would go down if we didn't have those fundamentals working every single day.
And so, this is what we kind of we have on our mind this month, and this is what we'll be offering the deep dive to go farther into, yeah?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it. We love animals. We love big animals. Scientists and others sometimes refer to big animals that we're drawn to as charismatic megafauna, which
Yeah,
I
you
think
said
is
that
ridiculous.
the first one.
It's just
I love it.
ridiculous.
I think it's fabulous. Yeah. So
You decide.
And then the question is whether or not humans, I think that depends on who you are. Some folks are far more humble, but yeah, the self-attribution of an apex animal or what is it, charismatic megafauna? We're not so mega.
That's
We're not that big.
That's the pool. The megafauna is the source of the sports teams' mascots.
Perhaps.
To a large degree, the
Yeah.
bears, the wolves.
Yeah. So join us and we're going to do the deep dive June 15th, a different time than usual, but June 15th at 6 o'clock Mountain Time, we'll be diving deeper into this question or this consideration of what we have to learn from large animals.
And we've also got this wonderful retreat coming up,
Yeah.
workshop retreat in the beautiful Centennial Valley of Southwest Montana. I've spent a lot of time in the backcountry Montana. This is one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So check that out on our website at fullecology.com. We'd love to have you join us.
Yes, we would. Yeah, and we're going to be given a break to the meditation and inquiry times for the summer, and we'll keep you posted on that. Please, if you're not already signed up, come to our webpage and drop to the bottom and sign up for ongoing contact with us, or at any time you can write us at connect@fullecology.com. Now that things, we hope, are rolling to a close with COVID, at least in this country, then we'll see. Let's all be wise, But everybody get outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Enjoy the glorious month of
Yes.
June.
Yeah. And we'll check in with you later.
Okay. Bye for now.